Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. This is basically a tag you do midway through the year, talking about some of the books that I have read so far this year. There's questions here and I just answer them, and it's also a little bit talking about some of the books that I can't wait for in the second half of the year. I tried my best to get ones that I don't really talk about, or I didn't really want to repeat them, but I couldn't really think about a lot of them. Like, a lot of these will kind of be repeated because they just fit more than one question. So let's just get right into it. First question is the best book you've read so far in 2021. This one's hard because I've read a lot of good books, so it was hard to choose like one. So I didn't. I chose around 3, but like, because I also wanted to like choose different like genres, because lately I've been reading different genres, and I think these are kind of like my favorite in different genres. Except like I don't have a fantasy in this genre. I have like 2 of the same genre and then 1 different, and I should have done like 1 fantasy in there, but oh well. But anyway, the books that I loved this year so far. The first one being The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodore Goss. This was everything I wanted and more. And I read the whole series this year and loved it, but this is like what I was looking for. I'm so happy I read it. I loved it so much. This is like everything I ever wanted. So I'm so happy I read this. It was really good. I love the writing style and everything. I just really loved it. I'm so happy I read it. And then the next one I have is Finley Donovan is Killing It. I don't own the book. I read this audiobook, so I'm just gonna put a picture up here. But this one was different, but in a good way. I really enjoyed this. So basically, you have the main character who is a single mother. She just got a divorce and she's dealing with her ex and his new like fiance, whatever, plus with the kids and like money wise, and it's just like everything. But then like she's a writer, so she's talking to her, I guess, like editor or like her I don't know, person that like, I don't know what it was called, who she was, but someone that, you know, helps her with the books and whatever about it. And I guess the way they were talking about stuff, someone was overhearing them and misunderstood what they were talking about. It was kind of funny. But the lady misunderstood in the sense that she thought that Finley was a hitwoman, an assassin. So, you know, wonderful. And so she leaves Finley a note, and they're in Panera, and she leaves him a note saying like, oh, well, I'll pay you this much if you kill my husband, because he's like abusive or other stuff or whatever. And so she's like, what the heck? She thinks back on her conversation and some of the wording they use. She can kind of see how it was construed into thinking that she's an assassin, but she's not. And so she's not really thinking about doing it because she's trying to like she's gonna like contact the woman and be like, it was a misunderstanding, I'm not who you think I am, blah blah blah. But she just wants to kind of like see who exactly her husband is and why she would want her husband dead, you know. Just like, she's not gonna do it, but she's just like wants to know like, why do you want your husband dead? And so she goes and kind of like follows her husband to see like what's so bad about him. And she's at this I guess like a bar, pub, whatever, and she sees that he put something in his date's drink, and the date's obviously not his wife, so of course he's cheating. But she also sees that he put something in his date's drink while the date went to go to the restroom. And so she intercepts him before the date comes back, or I think she goes into the restroom, spills something on the date so that she can take longer in the bathroom, and then comes out, switches the drinks, and like kind of like flirts with him to distract him, and switches the drinks. And then he ends up drinking the one that was spiked with something, and ends up getting like unconscious. And so she's just like, oh, I'm just gonna like take him back to his house and everything, not kill him or anything. But she puts him in her car, and she ends up going back home for some reason. I forgot what it was. And then she goes inside, I believe, and she's on the phone with her sister, and then when she comes back out, he's dead, and she's thinking that she accidentally killed him because like maybe there's too much of whatever he put in the drink, and it just like, you know, ended up killing him. I don't know. She was just thinking that, and then so now she's all like, what do I do? She has to like dispose of the body because she doesn't want like to get in trouble for accidentally killing him because it doesn't look good. And her like nanny or whatever, she was there collecting her stuff because the ex-husband had like fired her or something, and but then she runs into her and she's like, what the heck's going on? And so she explains everything, and she's like, I want half of the cut of the money and I'll help you dispose of the body. So, and then it just goes on from there. It's hilarious. It's so fun. I just love it. It was, I've never seen anything like that before, and I can see it being into like a movie maybe because that's just like really funny. But yeah, I loved it, and I don't even know what else to say. It was just really good, and there's way more to it. That's just like the beginning. So if I spoil anything, I'm sorry, but it's like really off the bat. So the next book that's one of the best books I've read so far this year is Tokyo Ever After. And I don't have the dust jacket on this. I took it off when I was reading it. I put it back on when I was done. But yeah, I don't know if you can see on the side. But anyway, this is Tokyo Ever After by Amiko Jean. I can always put a picture of it up here. But this is all I wanted in this book. So when I heard about this, it's like it reminded me straight up of Princess Diaries, and that was my absolute favorite movies when I was a kid. I love both 1 and 2. Something about them. I really loved Princess Diaries, and it was just such a good movie. I always used to watch it over and over and over when I was a kid. I just loved it, and I still do. I love Anne Hathaway, Julie Andrews, Chris Pine, like everything. And so this reminded me so much of Princess Diaries because it's basically she learns that her father, that she never knew growing up, she learns that her father is actually the crown prince of Japan, Tokyo, because his parents are the emperor and empress, and he's a crown prince, and so that makes her a princess. And so she goes to Japan to meet her dad and her family and kind of learn where she's from, because she's Japanese American, because her mom's also too Japanese, but I believe she was born in America. So yeah, so she just wants to learn her roots, where she comes from, and meet her family and kind of see this side that she was supposedly born into but had no idea for like I think she's like 17 for like 17 years. And it's just so good. I love it, and there's like a little romance in there. Love it. But yeah, it was just a cute, heartwarming, and kind of like delves more into like finding yourself, your family, all that. Like, and I kind of related to some aspects because my heritage, like I guess we call ourselves Hispanics now, but in the old days it was Mexican American, because you have that heritage but you're not from Mexico, so we're called Hispanics, because of course I'm born here in America, but my heritage, I'm Hispanic. And so yeah, and you know, sometimes that's hard because I don't fluently speak Spanish, and she doesn't fluently speak Japanese, and so she was learning that too and everything, and it was just hard. And like, I know some Spanish but not a lot. And I'm getting there. I'm slowly learning over time. My family does speak Spanish, especially my tios, and my mom does speak Spanish. She's a little rusty because she didn't speak Spanish for like a while, and so she kind of got out of it, and she's like getting back into it. And yeah, so it's rough, and I get that, like wanting to know where you're from, your heritage, your roots, and everything. I'm lucky to live where I live, because where I live, our culture, the cultura here is so rich in the Hispanic culture because we're so close to the border of Mexico. And so, you know, I just love growing up here because we still have that aspect. It's not fully it because we're not in Mexico, but you know, I still love it here. And so I just love that she went there to kind of find herself, but also to who she is as a person and her heritage and how that plays a role in her and her family. And it's just such a beautiful book, and I loved it. Okay, we're on to the second question, which is best sequel you've read so far in 2021. So I have two options, or not options, but I have like two books for this because I haven't read a lot of sequels. Actually, I think I have, but I don't even know. Actually, not really. These two, I don't own the second book in one of these, so I'm only going to hold up the first book. But the first one is Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book to, what was it? A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And I know everyone's saying that this one was okay. They still like the first one better, but I actually really loved this one. Just maybe a little bit more than the first one, but I really love this one so much. It was just, I don't know how to explain it. It was good. I don't want to explain too much because I don't want to spoil it because it's a sequel. But the first one does follow Pippa. And she is doing a senior project. In a town where she lives, there was a murder like 5 years ago maybe. Well, not really. It was, so this girl 5 years ago went missing. And everyone assumed that she was dead, that she died, because then her boyfriend committed suicide after he, like, well, he didn't say it, but like I guess he wrote it down, or he was the suspect for it, and then he like committed suicide. So everyone thought that he did it, he was guilty, all that and everything. But then 5 years later, Pippa's doing a senior project, and she chose this case from 5 years ago because she doesn't believe that the boyfriend did it. She believes there's more to it and everything. So she's trying to, you know, look back into it, see what really happened, find out, try to clear his name, all this. And she enlists the help of the boyfriend that killed himself and the thing that was the killer's brother into helping her, because he knows like his brother and everything, and his brother believes that he didn't do it, and so he wants justice for it too. And so she's like, you know, digging into it, trying to figure out what really happened and everything. And people don't like that, especially when they want stuff to stay buried. And a lot of people think that, like, you know, what happened in the past has happened and that's it. You know, that's what happened, and they don't think otherwise. But Pippa doesn't believe that, and so she goes and tries to find out the truth. It's just really good. It's really cool the way it's written. It has her entries that she has done for her project, along with like the actual story. And then in this one, it's following the events after the first one, and she has a podcast in this one. So this one has a podcast element, which I love. And yeah, I don't want to explain too much because I don't know if it will kind of spoil the first one or not, so I'm just gonna leave you with that. It's really good. I totally recommend checking out the first one and then this one because it's so good. And then the next sequel I want to talk about is the sequel to From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. I'll put the picture up right here real quick. I also wanted the sequel to this sequel, which is Crown of Gilded Bones, was also really good. But we're talking about sequels, and this is technically a sequel. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. Really good. I just love this whole series, honestly. This one, everyone did say, like, you know, and I get that. I do, because not a lot really happens, but it's because it's setting it up. And it is very vague because you're not supposed to really know what's going on until, like, the end and later on when it more explains to it, because that's, like, the whole point of it and everything. And I just love seeing how the plot grows from this one, how the characters grow from this one, especially Poppy. She has a big character arc so much. I love her. I just really love this whole series. Like, I know people kind of trash it, and I mean, it's not the best thing ever. It's really not, but it's still really good. And I mean, sometimes I don't care if it's the best thing ever, as long as I enjoy it. I really like it. The plot is really good. The smut, very smutty. I love it. Super steamy. This one's not that smutty, but the second and the third one, and hopefully the other ones, are super smutty. I can't wait to continue with this. But yeah, I really love these. Even though they're pretty thick, they go through so fast. And I just love the plot line. Like, I'm not big into fantasy. I'm barely starting to get into fantasy, so I think this is really good. I know some people are saying it is kind of confusing, and I did kind of have that problem, but not too bad. Like, I was kind of confused, but then, like, it would explain it later on. I think, like, that's the point of it. You're not supposed to really know everything until, like, later on. But it wasn't too confusing, honestly. I was fine with it. But yeah, absolutely recommend this series. It's not for everyone, but I love it. We're on to question 3. Question 3 says, new release you haven't read yet but want to. I don't own any of these yet, but I'm hoping to get them pretty soon because they just recently came out. So, I mean, I'm not that far behind. The first one is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. This one, I've only read 2 other Riley Sager, and I didn't like one as well. It's not like I didn't like it. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like anything special. I think it was Final Girls. I could be wrong on the title, but I think that's one I read that was eh. And then I read Home Before Dark, and I enjoyed that one. I mean, a lot of people didn't, and I mean, it was okay, but I enjoyed it. I think I gave it like a 4. Yeah, I enjoyed it. And so I heard about Survive the Night that's coming out, and it sounds pretty interesting, and I want to see how I like it. I don't know. I've heard like different synopsis for it, but something about like a serial killer, I think, and the main character is like in the car with him because they're driving somewhere, and he's supposed to be like this campus serial killer, and she like then soon finds out about it and trying to like survive the night, basically. I don't know, I could be wrong, but that's like the gist I heard about it everywhere, so I'm just going with that. There could be more to it. It could be different than that. I don't know, but that's what the basics I know of it a little bit. And the next one is The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. This is the 4th book in the Truly Devious series, and okay, I guess yeah, they call it a 4th book, but it's also kind of like a spin-off because it's just like it's not technically following like the trilogy. The trilogy is its own thing, and the 4th book is following the same kind of like characters, but not in that same setting, the same storyline. It's like its own kind of storyline, and just like kind of moved on from that and following the events of what happened in the first trilogy and continuing on, which is fine by me. I'm kind of skeptical of it because I really enjoy the trilogy and kind of the way it was set in the storyline, but I'm not too skeptical because I really did love the trilogy. I love the writing. I love the main character, you know, so I'm just down to like still be back in this world with this character, but like a new story, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so I'm excited for that. I think it just recently came out this month, so I'm hoping to get that pretty soon to read it. Now, the next book I actually just got, so that was a lie in the beginning. I do own one of these, and it's a new release, and that is Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. This one is a chunker, and lately I've been into fantasy, which is really weird because I was never a big fantasy reader. Like, I'm just starting now, and so I'm kind of scared about this one because this one seems a little bit more fantasy than I have read, but that's not true. I have read kind of higher, not too high, but like, yeah, this just seems like a little bit more, but I'm still intrigued. I like this cover. It's really cool. I haven't heard too much things about it. I've heard people talk about it, but not like because I've read it yet, so that's also why I'm also kind of scared because I don't really know what people's feelings are about it, which I mean that shouldn't really matter, but I'm just kind of like knowing like if more people will like it or hate it before going into, especially with a new genre that I'm not used to. But I'm still gonna give this a try. It sounds really interesting. I know Victoria Aveyard is the author of the Red Queen series, which I never read because I wasn't big into fantasy, but I mean people seem to love that and her writing, so I can't wait to get to this. Question 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. This one is Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. This is the second book sequel to Our Violent Delights, and I really enjoyed it. Not as much as I was hoping for, but I did like it. It was just like a little slow, which wasn't a bad thing, but it was just a little slow. But I did really enjoy it. The characters, the plot, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here and if it gets better, so I'm just so excited for that one. And then the next one is The Righteous by Renee Ahdieh, and this one is the 3rd book in the Beautiful series. This one I am kind of hesitant on because I just recently found out that it doesn't follow kind of like the point of view as the other 2 did. It's in I forgot her name, but it's the friend of like one of the main character, or the main character. It's her, and she's like trying, I don't know, and I'm just kind of skeptical about that because I was kind of hoping it would just continue on from where it ended, and I don't know and I think this is like the last one. I'm kind of confused with it all, and I don't know how I like that, but I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna read it and see how I like it. I mean, you never know, it could surprise me and I could like the way it was written. And last one for this question is Cytonic, and this is the third book in Starsight? No, Skyward. Yeah. In Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I love this series so far. This is the only books I have read from Brandon Sanderson, and it's like his YA books, but I do want to check out his other ones. Kind of start slowly because they're a little bit higher fantasy and adult. But yeah, I really love his Skyward series so much. I really do like sci-fi. And so this is a really good sci-fi book. I'm going to try to explain the first one so I don't spoil anything, but it follows our main character, who I'm blanking on the name right now. I'm kind of blanking on the synopsis. Like, it's there, but I don't really know how to explain it. But she wants to become a pilot in this world because it's a sci-fi. So they have these pilots because they're fighting like this alien species or whatever, and she wants to become a pilot and fight against them, but no one really wants her to be because of they think that her dad was like, what was it? It was like basically like ditched them in the middle of something or something like that. And then he ended up dying in there. No one really likes her because of what her father did, but she's all like, I'm not my father and everything, and I want to make like my own life for myself and not be living in the shadow of my dad or whatever, even though she loved her dad and she doesn't believe what they're saying about her dad. And then so she ends up going to take the test, and she knows everything, but they weren't gonna pass her or whatever. But then I think someone comes and sees that she like literally passed it and was like, okay, let's give you a try, but no one liked that. And so she goes through like the academy sort of thing to learn and everything, and just stuff happens from there. I know that wasn't the best synopsis. It's been a while since I read the first one. Like, I know it in my head, like thinking about it, I can kind of like, you know, see the things, but talking about it, I don't really know how to explain it. So sorry about that, but if you're interested, please look it up and read the synopsis yourself. It's really, really good. I love the second one, was so good. It left off in a cliffhanger, so I need the third one like now, so I can't wait for it to come out. Fifth question is biggest disappointment. So for this one, I also too have like 2 or 3. Anyway, the first one that was a real disappointment was Real Men Knit by Kwana Jackson. This one, I was expecting to love, because I'm not that picky with romance. Like, as long as it, you know, entertains me, I like the romance, I like the characters, it's cute, it's, you know, a good romance, then I'm good for this one. But this one, I did not like this one. I don't even really remember much that happened. I just didn't like the way it was written, some of the stuff that happened, the way, like, the synopsis talked about one thing but didn't really show that. It was just like kind of like jumping all over the place. I just didn't like it. And halfway through, I decided to listen to the rest on the audiobook, and I don't remember a single thing that happened the second half because I listened to the audiobook, and I just think I just like zoned out because I didn't care, and it just wasn't intriguing me, it wasn't interesting me. So I gave it a 3-star. I don't really know how to rate stuff like that. I should have just DNF'd it, but I didn't like it at all. The next one, it wasn't as big of a disappointment because I was kind of like informed that it wasn't that good, and that is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. So I have read her ACOTAR series and House of Earth and Blood, Crescent City, and I loved all those, my favorite. And I wanted to read her Throne of Glass series because that is the series I have yet to read, and everyone has been saying it's a really good series, so I want to get to it. But people have said that the first book is not the best, just to read it, push through it, and continue with the rest because it gets better after this. So I did that, and I can see it was okay. I'm not mad at it. It was okay. It did what it was supposed to do, but like, yeah, I can kind of see it's not the best. I was just kind of waiting for it to get to like the actual competition part, and then like even with that, it was okay, and I was like, okay, that's not bad. Plot wasn't that bad. But yeah, I can kind of see how this is not the best, but it wasn't, I gave it like a 3, which I know I gave this one a 3, but I actually prefer this one than this one. If that makes any sense. Like, this was a better 3 than this one. I should have given this one like a 2, honestly. Or maybe I did give it a 2. I don't even remember. This was probably a 2. This was like a 3, 3.5. It was a pretty decent read, and I want to continue with the story to see where it goes from here. So yeah. So there's an honorable mention for this question because I didn't hate the book. So don't come at me because it's a popular book and everything. I really did enjoy it. It's just there's some stuff in it I wasn't the biggest fan of. And everyone's raving about it and loving it, obsessed with it. And I don't really feel like that. I really do love it. I love the characters, the world, the series, everything. But there's just some stuff that, you know, didn't vibe with me all that well. But I did give it a 4 because it's still a really good book. I still liked it overall. And that is Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This one, because of all the praise it was getting, I was expecting it to be a 5-star. I was expecting it to beat out A Court of Mist and Fury, because one of my favorites in that series, to be this great thing that everyone loves, is obsessed with. And I do love it. I really do. But it didn't beat out Court of Mist and Fury. I'm sorry. I still love Court of Mist and Fury. That's my baby. Chapter 55. But no, I really did love A Court of Silver Flames. Because it is also too different than A Court of Mist and Fury. It's like on a different level. Because it's more adult. Where that was more YA to new adult. Or it was supposed to be like more new adult, but they did classify as YA. So it couldn't have lived up to its full potential. But I still really loved it. But Court of Silver Flames had that room to live up to its potential, and it did. It had a lot of smut, all the romance, the love. I love that so much. The characters, the side characters, love it. That little like sisterhood friendship, love that. Cassian, love him. But there were just other small aspects in the book that didn't really vibe with me, that I kind of have issues with, but I also see the point, and I get it. Just doesn't mean I really liked it, you know what I mean? But I really did enjoy it. I love this series. I love the characters, the world, you know. And also too, the other thing that kind of bothered me is I love Sarah J. Maas's books because of the plot. I love the characters, the world, you know, stuff that happens with the characters, but also too, I love the plot that's in her books. Like the ACOTAR series, after you get past like the first one and more into the other ones, the plot, oh my gosh, I love the plot so much. I love everything that happens. But A Court of Silver Flames literally had like no plot until the very end of the book, which is okay. I'm just not that type of person. I like plot. I like character-driven stuff, but I also like plot. And I didn't like that. I didn't really have that until the very end. And it was a big, chunky book. It's like over 700 pages. And I had no plot until like maybe like 50 pages at the end, leading to the next book. Which, you know, isn't a big thing for me because I still liked it. But I was expecting some plot because it's Sarah J. Maas. I do appreciate the stuff that we got with the characters and everything, but I was expecting some plot throughout it, but I didn't receive that. So that's why it is a 4-star. Please don't come at me, but it was a little bit of a disappointment because I was expecting it to be a 5-star to probably live up to kind of A Court of Mist and Fury, maybe even surpass it, but it didn't. It's just like right there. Like I do love it still, but just a little bit of a disappointment there. Question number 6 is the biggest surprise. So the opposite of the last question. And this one, I mean, I could have had other ones, but I guess the biggest surprise would have to be A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, because this is not the type of book I normally read, because again, it didn't really have a plot, but I was okay with that in this fact because that was the whole point of this book. It was basically letters written by Dracula's bride, Constanta, basically like talking about how everything happened, the lead up to downfall, basically. And this also too had such a good representation of toxic relationships, of toxicity in relationships, in, you know, not just like romantic relationships, but like other types. I don't know, it was just really good. Oh my gosh, the way this was written, so lyrical, so beautiful. So I haven't really talked about this in my wrap up. I believe, my April wrap up. So if you want to see more of my thoughts on this, I read an excerpt of this book in there too. So if you want to hear that, please go check out that video. But I really love this one so much. Such a big surprise. So beautiful. Totally recommend. And question 7 is favorite new author, either debut author or new to you author. And this one's probably a new to me author because these are not debut that I know of. Maybe one of them is, not sure. But the first one being Theodora Goss, which I already talked about this book, but I love this series so much, and I love Theodora Goss's writing and just the way it was written. It's a different kind of writing sound. I really enjoyed it, and I just love this aspect of this book, and I love it. So I'm not sure if this, I believe this is the only series she's read. I don't know, don't quote me on that, I'll look it up. If there's any other books she has read, I would really want to check out. Actually, I think there is other books that she has written. I said that wrong. So yeah, but this is the first time I read anything by her, and I absolutely love it. Okay. So this one, I wouldn't say it's like my new like favorite, but I'm actually starting to like her because I've never really read any of her books, and I do like books I have read so far, and that is Leigh Bardugo, the one that read Shadow and Bone. I'm currently reading the Six of Crows duology, and then I will be moving on to Nikolai's story, which is like Rule of Wolves or something like that, and then we'll see if I get to Ninth House. But yeah, I really like these, enjoyed them so much. Enjoying Six of Crows and everything, so I like this so far. So Leigh Bardugo. And then I guess I have to do an honorable mention again, and that would have to be Sarah J Maas. But because it's an honorable mention, is I technically read some of her books last year, especially Crescent City. I read that last year. And then I read the ACOTAR series also too, I think, starting last year, but then I reread them this year too. So I did read ACOTAR this year too, and then of course Silver Flames, and now I'm reading Throne of Glass, and I'm really enjoying her, and I think she's also one of my new favorite authors. I did read it kind of weird. I read Crescent City first, when that's her latest published book, and now I'm reading Throne of Glass last, which was probably one of her first published books. So it's crazy, but yeah. Question 8, newest fictional crush. So I'm always crushing on all these fictional characters in any book I'm reading. Like if I love it, I love it. Like so I just picked a few, but I'm gonna talk about one of the obvious ones, and that is Hawk from Blood and Ash. I was gonna say something else, but I didn't want to spoil it if you haven't read this first book yet. So Hawk. I love Hawk. Next fictional crush would have to be Reed from Separate and Dove, which I just recently read. Loved it. I'm hoping to get the second book soon. And yeah, I love Reed. Like I love this story where he's like a witch hunter, and then the main character Lou is a witch, but they don't know that. I mean, she knows that, but he doesn't know that. And then they end up being in a situation where they have to get married, and he's a witch hunter and she's a witch. There's a cute romance, Reed, and other stuff is, you know, revealed. But I really loved it. I love Reed so much. And then the next one would have to be Akio from, I don't know how I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry. Akio, I don't know. He is the love interest in here, but he's also to the main character's bodyguard when she goes to Japan, to Tokyo, to meet her family. He's assigned to be the bodyguard, and there's a little romance there, and it's cute. I love it. And they start off first kind of like hating each other, not hating each other, but they don't really like each other, or they have like kind of like, yeah, they think like the other person's like a certain way from like the first impressions, and they just don't really like each other. But then going on along the story, they start like kind of seeing who they actually truly are deep down and everything. They start liking each other, and it's just so cute. My next two fictional crushes are from two different books, but they kind of remind me like alike. Not like their names are kind of similar. Also, the main characters' names are kind of similar, but I'll go over that later. The first one being Blade of Secrets by Trisha Levenseller. This one, the love interest, I believe, is Kellen. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's like Kellen. is Kellyn, Kellen, and I think that's how you pronounce it. It seems like it. Yeah, he was interesting in here, and I liked. He was like kind of like a mercenary sorta, and they hired him to kind of protect them along the way, and he kind of has like this little banter going on with the main character who has social anxiety, and you can see like how he kind of brings out different side in her in a little bit, and like there's a little cute little romance with that, and I really enjoyed this. And then the next one is from The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni, and this one, his name is Jaren. Yeah, Jaren, and he comes in because he's like a prisoner, and our main character is the prison healer, and so she's the one that first like is there to kind of, because he comes in unconscious, and so she's trying to like figure out what's wrong and everything, do her whole thing, and then when he wakes up, he sees her and everything, and she's assigned to him to help, like an orientation thing to kind of show him around, tell him where things are, what's you know the deal in this prison and all that. And then from there they're just like kind of stuck together, and it's just really cute. She's kind of like hesitant. She doesn't like want to get to know him, she doesn't like want to like be like that, but he's like there. But it's because in this prison a lot of people don't last, and especially him where he is, a lot of people don't last there, like last as I mean live. So she doesn't want to get close just in case, you know, anything happens. But then stuff happens. It's super cute. I would say more, but I don't want to spoil anything. And the other one I would say is Matthew from A Discovery of Witches. It is the third book, The Book of Life, which I read this year. And I just love Matthew. Like, I'm sorry, but Matthew. Like, if you know, you know. He's just, I don't know, he's like this tough, stoic guy, but he's also a vampire. And he's just really sweet with Diana. And I love it. Like, Matthew. Okay, moving on to, did I say 8? I think this is the 9th, is the newest favorite character. So this kind of goes along, I can say like a lot of these. So I'm gonna probably reiterate myself. So I would say Lou from Serpent and Dove, which is the main character in here, who's a witch, but she's hiding that power and kind of like on the run sorta. But she's really funny. I love her. She's really like sarcastic and funny, and I just love that. And then I would have to say Finlay from Finlay Donovan's Killing It, which I also talked about. She's also too just really, I don't know how to explain it. You have to read it to know, but I love her so much, especially with everything that she's dealing with, how she goes about it, and all that. And it's just really good. I like it. Next two are both from The Blade, not The Blade of Secrets and The Prison Healer. And with this one, the main characters' names are so similar, just one letter I think different. So this one, her name is Ziva, and I like that name too. But I also kind of related to her because she has like this anxiety, social anxiety, which I deal with too a lot. But in like our own different ways, because she has it like a little bit different than I do, but there are some aspects that are similar, and I just really related to it, and I love seeing that in like a fantasy aspect of this capacity. I love that so much. And then the next one is Kiva. Yeah, Kiva with the K. The other one was Ziva. This one's Kiva. And this one, she has to like learn. She learned to be strong at such a young age, but she also still has a caring heart in her, even though where she's at in this prison, like it's not safe to do that. And she's just really good. She's tough and like hard, but she still has like, I guess, her humanity after being in this prison for so many years. And then I love Diana in here too. I mean, she's just like finding herself with Matthew, and it's just such a good book. And then honestly, I love Kieran in this book. I hope I say his name right. Kieran, I never know how to say his name. I love Kieran. He is so funny, and I just love him so much. Okay, my battery's flashing, so hopefully I can get through this fast. The next question is book that made you cry. So I have 2 for this one. And the first one is Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This one made me cry at the end. I guess that's also why I do love it more than the first one, because it had such a more like a more, you know, emotional feel to it, pull to it. I don't know. It was just so good, and it really did make me cry. And the other one that made me cry was Once Upon a Quinceanera by Monoko Komesira. Because also too, I related to certain aspects of this book, and it had to deal with a lot of family drama aspects, and I deal with that too. I'm not as close to my family. We have our own things, and I guess sometimes, like, I don't even know where I was going with that, but yeah, so I did really kind of relate to this in certain aspects of it, and it was just still a really good book, and it really did make me cry like throughout the book too, not just like at the ending, but kind of certain parts throughout the book would kind of make me tear up and everything, and so that's why I also have such an attachment to this, because I related to it and it made me so emotional. Okay, the next question is book that made you happy. And the first one for that is Pride and Premeditation by Tirzah Price. This is a Jane Austen murder mystery, and I love Pride and Prejudice. And this one, just being in this world with these characters, and they're different, they're not like Pride and Prejudice. I really liked it, and I wish we can get more in this world with these characters, but the other ones in the series are going to be based off other books from Jane Austen, which is fine. But I really like this one. It just made me so happy with these characters and the way it was twisted and made, and I really liked it. And then the next one, of course, I have to mention Tokyo Ever After again. This was just so wholesome, so cute. Even like the moments that were kind of like a little sad, the overall, it was still such a cute book, and I really liked it. It made me happy. Like, I liked it. Last one, which, I mean, who wouldn't be happy with this? It's Heartstopper Volume 2. This is the recent one I just read, and honestly, these books make me happy. Like, they're so cute. It follows Nick and Charlie. I believe Charlie is the one that is out already. Not by his doing, but he's out already. And he's friends with Nick. Nick is, everyone knows him as straight, but they're friends. They become getting closer, and Nick starts getting feelings for Charlie, and he's so confused. He's like, what is this? Like, I thought I liked girls, whatever. And it's just so cute seeing him discover himself with, you know, Charlie, and just, it's so cute. Next question is most beautiful book you've bought so far in 2021. So I have some that, like, you know, are pretty beautiful, like the covers, especially Diary of Blood. Like, this cover is gorgeous. I love that. Any book with sprayed edges, I love. So my battery died, so I had to charge it and I had to go run some errands, but I'm back. Hopefully the battery has some charge in it, so I'm sorry if everything looks different. It was getting darker outside, so I had to turn the light on, so you might hear the fan and my dog. So yeah, that's the change. The last question I was on was about like beautiful book you bought this year in 2021, and I was in the middle of talking about it, I don't remember, but anyway, I was talking about A Diary of Blood. Gorgeous. I also have Harleen. I freaking love this book, so gorgeous. But the one that I was really talking about was I bought from Blood and Ash series in a special edition box from the Bookish box, I believe, and they're doing special editions of the book, hardcover, you know, the whole thing is supposed to be different, designed by these artists. It's supposed to have like I think like maybe sprayed edges or stenciled edges or something, stuff under under the dust jacket on the book. It's supposed to be so pretty, and I can't wait to receive it. And it's supposed to also have other items, and I believe so far it's the first 3 book in the series. And then when the 4th one comes out next year, they're gonna be selling that one too separately to match the rest. So I can't wait for that. But those are probably the most beautiful ones I've ever got, because I've never actually ever gotten like a special edition box of books like that. Hi everyone. Again, I'm sorry, my camera cut off again, but I just went to go eat, so I'm sick, maybe a little bit all over the place, but I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this up. We're on the last question. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of 2021? There are a lot that I either want to read or need to read, so I'm gonna go over just a few of them because my goal for the year I believe was like 85, but so far I'm almost at 60, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna surpass it. So I guess my new goal is 120. And you're probably thinking like, wow, that's like a big jump, but it's because lately I've been averaging between 10 books a month, and so if I keep that up, 10 books each month, that will get me to 120. But I've also been kind of going a little bit over that, so it seems kind of doable if you think about it like that. But I'm not going to change it on Goodreads. I'm still going to keep it at 85, but in my head, like a new kind of like mini goal is to try to reach 120, or if not, just surpass 85. So we'll see where that goes. But let's get into the books that I want to try to get to in the second half of this year. Starting off with a big one that I want to try to get to, but no promises. And that is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This is a chunky book. Like, this can be used as a freaking weapon. This cover is gorgeous too. I just love like the yellow with the blue and this dragon. This is an adult high fantasy, so completely new to me. So I'm gonna kind of take it slow and see where this goes. Next is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. Not just this one, but kind of continuing on with the series. Focus, focus, focus. I want to continue on with the series, so I am putting like Crown of Midnight on here because this is the next one I need. But then after this one, if I finish it pretty soon, then I'll move on and hopefully maybe finish the series this year. If not, probably early next year. We'll see. The next one I want to try to get to is Strange Dreamer by Laini Taylor. And this one I've heard really good things about. I've been wanting to check it out, but again, I haven't been into fantasy until like recently. So now I think I'm ready to try to check it out. I wanted this like cover. I didn't care if it was paperback or hardcover. The paperback was easier to find, but I like this like blue one. So I'm so glad I got it. I got it pretty cheap, used, but it's pretty good condition. And I still like that it's like a floppy one. So I love that. And I'm just hoping I like this because a lot of people like it. It has like such beautiful lyrical writing, and I seem to like that in some other books, so hopefully I like it in here too. And then after that, I'm hoping to get to JoJo's. This one is part 1. It's the Bizarre Adventure. So I kind of know kind of how this works because my brothers watched the anime, and he showed me like each season kind of follows like a different JoJo in a way. And so this one is I believe Jonathan Joestar. Says it right there. This one's part 1, Phantom Blood, and I like these new editions that they made for JoJo. Like, it's a hardcover. It's really pretty. I don't know, art style is pretty cool. In the beginning, it kind of has like some color, but then it goes into regular, and then I think at the end, or a different, oh, right here, kind of in the middle, it kind of goes back to it, but not just color. It's just like an orange. But I don't know, it looks really interesting. And my brother has totally recommended the anime, and I just kind of want to read some mangas first before I watch the anime, because that's just me. Like, sometimes, because like, you know, I'm into books, I'm a booktuber, and we like to kind of read the book sometimes before the show or movie or whatever adaptation it is. So that's why I'm trying to do this. I got the first manga. My friend else too has read this, and she said that she loved it. So, and she reads a lot of manga, so I'm trusting her on this. So I can't wait to read this, and then I can check out the anime. Then I want to read Heartstopper Volume 3, because Volume 4 is about to come out later this year for us in America. I think UK already has it out, but I want to finish Volume 3 and maybe move on to Nick and Charlie, the little like novella thing, like an actual book, not like a graphic novel form. But I just, these are so wholesome and cute, and it's just so cute. Even like the drawings are cute. And I know the fourth one talks about a little bit heavier topics, but like in a good, not like a good way, but like it does a good job at talking about kind of more heavier topics. So I don't know what this one talks about, if it's still kind of more lighthearted, if it talks a little bit more going into that. I know like the first and second did kind of, not like too much, just because like the part where I believe Charlie talked about how he came out, it wasn't really his way or the way he wanted to. I think someone outed him or something like that, and everything, and it was talking about how he's been like bullied because of it and everything. So it has talked about a little bit more tougher subjects, but I know the fourth one talks about more. So can't wait for that, and I'm hoping to read this soon. I want to get to Normal People by Sally Rooney. I got this one off of the recommendation of Chloe from Books and Chloe because like she loved this book. She cried with it, so I'm hoping I'm in the right mental place before I read this. But she read it like on the recommendation of her friend Caitlin from Kate Literature, and she says she loved it, and then Chloe read it and she loved it, so I love both of them. So I want to get to this, and hopefully I'll like it too. And then last one that I'm going to talk about, because there's so many of them. I can choose so much from my bookshelves. But I want to get to Saga Volume 9, which is the last one that's currently out, and the last one I need to read. I can't wait. I know that the authors or whatever are on a hiatus with this series, but I'm hoping they'll come back soon. Like, I had less of a wait, because I still haven't even finished it yet, than most people have when they read this, so I'm glad I kind of took my time, kind of waited, because I think they might be coming back soon, but I don't know, so don't quote me on that. But I really love the series. It's a sci-fi fantasy as graphic novel, and when I say graphic novel, it's pretty graphic, so it's an adult, so keep that in mind because it's very graphic, not just gruesome, graphic in other senses. So, but it's also really cute, and I just like it. Art style is really pretty, it's really cute, I really like it, and I like the plot, like the journey that these characters are going on, and I just want more of it. I like it. So that is all the books I have need to talk about today. Those are, so that is my mid-year book Freakout tag, and I hope y'all enjoyed that. If you have read any of these or want to read any of these, please comment down below. I will love to talk with y'all, and yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you like this. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.